He's known as the Mick Jagger of art auctions. 69-year-old Simon de Pury isn't your typical auctioneer. Active on social media and known for wooing his followers, he's been in the art business for over 50 years. The high flyer, who is now known for charity auctions, used to be chairman of Sotheby's Europe and chairman and owner of Phillips Auction House. With many auctions in spring now postponed, there is lots of confusion as to what happens next.
First of all, we don't know whether we can fly to the UK or we can fly to New York. For the moment, we can't. And even if we can at some stage, I'm not sure that people will want to go into a crowded sale room. Probably not. Now, this will not be a real problem for conducting auctions, because even before the Corona crisis, the big evening sales, while they happen in front of packed stand-room audience only, the top buyers and the top bidding did take place from collectors from all over the world who are bidding over the phone, either from their offices, from their homes, from their swimming pools, or else they type in their bids online, and then the bids would be seen by the auctioneer from the podium. So effectively, you can very easily have a top-notch auction without any physical attendance, as long as the auctioneer is linked to all the key buyers around the world.
So do you think that online auctions are the future?
Online auctions will be the great winners of what we are going through now. The online market has been extremely slow to develop. The art market is probably the only market that has so far successfully resisted the technological revolution. Now, I think that after just 2 months of Corona, the online market is making great leaps forward. And I think that going further into this year, the online auction business will develop in a way it has not done for the last 10 years.
So I can see that you're really an advocate for digitalization and technology.
First of all, we have to, and necessity brings invention. And I think a lot of very creative things will happen now as a result of what we're living through. But most of all, I feel that artists themselves are going to be very stimulated by what is going on, because over the years, more and more artists were being pressurized, successful artists were being pressurized by the market that was going more and more from one fair to another art fair. And so each artist had to produce for the next art fair, for the next booth, for the next thing, and were producing for the market as opposed to producing for their own art. Now that pressure is off, and I think that artists can, measure themselves against art history and not against what the current market or the current trend may be or may not be. And let's not forget that most artists are quite used to being in lockdown, because the practice of an artist in most cases involves being alone with yourself in your studio. And so adapting to the current situation may be more easy to do than for people who are just moving about all the time.
So that's a good keyword that you brought, with artists having to produce for art fairs. In a recent interview I did with art dealer Dominique Levi, she actually said that she felt this art market was getting too big, there were too many collectors, and that this pause is also good to kind of reflect. So I was wondering, do you also feel that the art market was somehow becoming too big to handle?
I think that this crisis is a wake-up call for the entire humanity. It is also a wake-up call for each of us individually. And then, of course, it's a wake-up call for the art market itself. Now, with wake-up calls, you can decide to listen to them, or also you can decide to ignore them. But I would definitely agree with what Dominique Levy said, that it had really gotten so far that it's quite good that we're all forced to take one step back. Because even when you're a professional and if you're inside the market, you could no longer follow it. The art market had become a traveling circus, which was setting up its tent in a different place not only every week, but nearly every second day. And in all of these places, you would see the same cast of characters, same people, and you would look at the art by the same group of artists. So in a way, it is healthy for all of us to have a time to reflect, have a time to look at it with slightly different eyes, with a little more distance, and see, what we could change in our lives and what we could change the market going forward.
Then, of course, as someone that grew up in Basel and as an art aficionado, and you mentioned art fairs, I have to ask you about Art Basel as well. So the fair has been postponed from June to September this year. The parent company MCH Group is in a bit of a trouble, not only because of Art Basel, but as well the watch and jewelry fair Basel World that has been cancelled now. So many clients, exhibitors pulled out. And I was wondering, what is your take on that whole thing as someone that is from Basel?
Well, I do love Art Basel, and my passion for art is greatly due to the fact that I was born in Basel. And so as a kid or teenager, I would spend my time at the Kunstmuseum, and I would go and to the Galerie Bayerler. Now, of course, there's the Fondation Bayerler. And Art Basel is by far, in my view, the best fair worldwide, particularly Art Basel in June, where all the galleries have always kept their very best works for that fair. I have seen every single Art Basel since its first one, and I remember the shock it was to see the first one when it was a revolutionary concept to show art in the same place where they would otherwise show cars or washing machines or electronic equipment. So now I think that in the same way that people will not rush to go into crowded sale homes, people will not rush to go into crowded art fairs. However, the physical contact with art is irreplaceable. No matter how good something may look on an iPad, how good it may look in a catalog, how good it may look on an iPhone, nothing replaces the physical contact with the art. So one will always need to go to see it in museums, to see it in art galleries, and of course to see it in art fairs as well. But one will need to find a system that you have less people that are let in at any given moment, which will enhance the experience, the viewer experience, but one must continue to offer the chance of enjoying art in a physical way.
And now with all these troubles with MCH Group, are you worried about Art Basel?
Listen, I think MCH, in the same way as many museums, as many institutions, cultural institutions, as many art businesses, obviously, all are affected by what is happening now, and they all have to see, how to regroup, how to plan their activities, and how to adapt to what is happening now. And I think that the cards generally in the art market are going to be slightly redistributed. Some big players will continue to be big players. Other players who maybe were not so significant before may become much more significant, and vice versa. And in a way, that's an exciting situation. So none of us know who will be the winners, but there will be winners, and it will be a very different situation.
Then maybe just coming back to online, and as I saw that you're a tech fan, I also saw that you're an Instagram fan. You post a lot of pictures recently, even here during the shower, during taking a shower.
Oh, I see. Yes. Well, as somebody who was traveling a great deal, I was having so many images and so many things that I could photograph and post on a daily basis on Instagram. And now, obviously, having been the last 2 months in my apartment, in my small apartment here in Monaco, my repertoire of images is, of course, much more limited. But I see that even in a small confined space, there are plenty of things you can photograph. And okay, this selfie under the shower is maybe an extreme example, but of course I have also the pleasure of having the view onto the Mediterranean, and every day it changes and it's gorgeous. And so even confined in a tiny space, there's an unlimited repertoire of what you can post.
And have you you know, I read in an interview that you have mentioned that you have bought art before through Instagram. Is that something that you do on a regular basis?
Instagram is the best tool now for discovering new artists. In the old days, an artist had only a chance of making it if he knew somebody in the art market, if he knew somebody who owned a gallery and would be prepared to take a risk and exhibit their work. Now, luckily, there are many more ways for an artist to get attention. From the 80s onwards, street art became a phenomenon. And so many artists did get a much wider audience through street art. Let's not forget that Jean-Michel Basquiat, Keith Haring started as street artists. Today, people like Banksy or Gemeos have a massive worldwide audience. But then I think that Instagram has been the main game changer, in the same way that YouTube changed the game in the music business, where musicians who would not have been noticed by majors or ignored by majors suddenly could build up an audience. Same thing happens with art. You have some artists that were totally unknown that have been picked thanks to Instagram. I have chosen a brilliant young Chilean artist called Guillermo Lorca, offered him his first show in London at De Pury at Asprey. And while he was a megastar in Chile, he had never had a big show outside of Chile. And if it hadn't been for Instagram, I would not have seen his work. Or Swiss Beats, the brilliant musician who has started the art fair called No Commission. He has chosen all artists for that art fair purely through Instagram. And I remember doing a panel talk at Art Basel Miami with Kevin Seastrom, who was the founder of Instagram. He's sadly no longer with Instagram, but because he sold it to Mr. Zuckerberg from Facebook. And we had Hans-Ulrich Obrist and on the panel as well. And we said that Instagram was going to transform the art market. Everybody was looking at us as we were these strange fellows. But now, 5 years later, nobody can dispute that.
I'm sure that you're in touch with collectors. You're a collector yourself. At the moment, are you willing to spend money on art?
Now, let's realize one thing. Obviously, what is terrible about the crisis that is going on, that it has already hit so many people instantly and had an impact on their lives, a dramatic impact on their lives. And I realize that being in the art world, you know, some of us are very privileged, and you know, the fact that I can speak here to you and is a proof. But of course, we all have to see this could last quite a long time, and we all have to, at any level, you know, what do we spend our money on? We want to be sure that we spend it on essentials. Now, art, as we know, we do not need art to live. However, I couldn't imagine a life without it. And I think that we do need art. And when you do need art, you see already the impact it has on social media. There's so many memes relating to art or to some famous artists, so many people reenacting famous paintings on their Instagram posts. And also listening to music. The power of music is phenomenal. It's art that gives us courage, that gives us strength, it gives us a belief that we will make it through this. Not only will we make it through it, but it will make us stronger. And when we'll get to the other end, it will have helped us enormously. So we do need art. And collecting is a disease. It is a bug that catches us. And once you're hooked, you need your fix. Now you try and control your fix a little bit. Obviously, if your means are severely undercut, but even then, you still want to see what you can buy. Now, I have bought only one single work since this crisis has started. It's a young artist, American artist. She's very, very talented. She has a show opening in Berlin in June. Berlin galleries can function. So I was very happy to buy this. But I must say, I was thinking twice, should I really do this right now? But also, when you look at the past, those people who are bold and go right against the general mood are the ones who do the best. So in these moments, those who feel they will go and will take risks, they can build incredible collections and can really put the basis of great collections going forward.
Is it a safe asset maybe as well?
Art is clearly a very, very good investment, alternate investment. You can observe the evolution of prices since the mid-19th century, because since then you have enough documentary evidence about the prices being paid for works of art. And you see that the art market, despite every now and then you have a moment of readjustment, despite that, since the mid-19th century has continued to go up. And the art market will unquestionably continue to go up. The only thing that will change is taste. Taste is constantly evolving. What we viewed in the 1920s as being the best of the best was no longer considered to be the best of the best in the 1960s. What in the 1960s was considered to be the best of the best is no longer considered to be the best of the best today. So taste will continue to constantly evolve, and a crisis like this will accelerate the change of taste. But the overall market will continue. And the top end of the market, i.e. the absolute trophy works, which there are very few of those works available at all, will continue to go up and up, in the same way that the difference between the 0.0001% of the world who are even now getting wealthier and the rest of the world is getting wider. The same thing will happen for the truly absolute trophy works. And now these works in a time of crisis don't come onto the market. Anybody who owns a work, unless he needs to absolutely sell it, will not want to do it right now. So they will want to wait to see, you know, until the mood changes, or if things are maybe a little better. They may test the waters by offering it privately, but even then, what you see in moments of crisis, that's the very, very best works, do not come on the market. However, some of the young art, you know, some of the artists by in the $10,000 to $100,000 range, some of these works one day will become the ultimate trophy works. And these works you can now buy with a discount. These works you could do phenomenally well by buying them right now.
Can you give maybe a name of an artist that one should collect or have an eye on right now?
I would prefer not to give you names, because this is, after all, my profession, and that's what I'm doing my living on. However, there clearly are these people around, because art never stops. And in time like these, people like to go back to established values, to blue chip names, etc. But again, the same way that rock and roll has been declared dead so many times, the same way that hip-hop has been declared dead so many times, in the same way that painting has been declared dead so many times. No, for a dead, it has an incredible life, and art will continue as long as we are around.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.